morning, parents. So this is a training on preschool math at home based on the California Preschool Learning Foundations. So in preschool, we base our curriculum off of the Preschool Learning Foundations. These are guidelines that we use when we're making goals for the children, when we're working on certain things in class. This particularly is about math, and these learning foundations are based on 4 years of age. So it's important to know that the children aren't expected to know these skills yet. It's something that they learn, and if they don't meet it by age 4, that's fine. It's just a general guideline. So the first section is number sense. So in regards to number sense, we're working on reciting numbers 1 through 10 with the students. So you can do this through a song, you could do it while walking around, just counting objects, reciting the numbers 1 through 10. By 4, we want them to begin to name and recognize some numerals. So for example, if you're showing them flashcards of numbers, they would say, that's a 1 or that's a 2. And starting to recognize and name some numbers. In some cases, for children who are nonverbal, it might be pointing to. So you could say, show me 1, and they'll be able to show and recognize that they understand which numbers are which. Another one's counting up to 5 objects. This can be very hard for the kiddos. So it's something that in a lot of the art projects and a lot of the play activities that we do in class, we count objects. So for example, if you're playing with Legos or you're playing with cars at home with your child, then you can always work on counting those objects. Answering how many, comparing two groups, more and the same. So they don't learn less until later. We want them to master more and the same before they move on to that. And then understanding that putting two groups together makes a larger group, as well as simple environmental addition. So for example, they're on the playground and they go and they grab one ball, and then they say, hey, now I have 2 balls. So here's some pictures, some examples of things that you can do at home. The bottom picture here with the numbers, this is just a cookie sheet, and these are magnet numbers, so it's just matching the numbers. That's a good way to work on that. Or if you're playing with Play-Doh and the student likes Play-Doh, getting Play-Doh mats. I do have a lot of these in my classroom, so if you would like me to send home Play-Doh mats for math, just let me know. You could do something more formal, like these cards. Which one has more? Also, when you're playing, like down here, you can make, for example, playpens with little farm animals and count how many animals are inside, or just singing number songs, listening to number songs on YouTube. Those are all good ways to work on number sense at home. The next section is on classification and patterning. So these skills include sorting and classifying objects in the environment. This would be by one attribute. So for example, you could take all the red cars and put all the red cards over here and leaving the rest of the cars out. So this will be by color, or it could be by size. They take out all the big cars. And then also recognizing a simple repeating pattern. So the first one that we work on is an A-B pattern. So for example, it'd be yellow, green, yellow, green. You'll see at circle time on my calendar, I have all of the numbers in black and red, and so we work on that daily. It could also be in a song, so you could work on clap stomp. That's still working on patterns with your child. And then attempts to create simple patterns by putting blocks together. So this is like when you're playing blocks or playing Legos, anything like that at home, or maybe playing cars. If the child's lining up the cars, you could have them do it a red car and a white car, and a red car and a white car. Or when you are working on building something with Legos, having them use a green Lego, then a blue Lego, green Lego, blue Lego. Again, I have some of these materials in class. If you would like me to send them home, just let me know. These are some example pictures. So this one is painting with marshmallows, and so it's just doing the alternating pattern to work on color patterning. You can also do this with the dot markers I sent home, or finger painting. This is an ice cube tray, so this helps separate the different colors, and you can have them put an orange in this one, a green in this one. I buy all my ice cube trays at the dollar store, so if you want to get an ice cube tray and work on that at home, you can do that. You could put cars in there, pom-poms, cereal, anything that you can find around the house to work on patterning. Then when it comes to color sorting, if you would like something like this, a sorting mat, Then you can sort cereal, you can sort, again, cars, anything natural in the child's environment so they're not reluctant to work on the activity. So if they're eating Fruit Loops, you can work on color sorting without them knowing that they're working on color sorting. It's not a formal task. And then these down here, these are just stacking some magnet tiles. This is construction paper on the floor down here, and they're sorting the different bears on the construction paper. All of these are very simple things to do at home. And this picture right here, this is just, they took paper towel rolls. You could use, toilet paper rolls, paint them one color, color them a color, and then have them put the objects inside the corresponding toilet paper roll. Measurement. So the two scales for measurement that we look at are children begin to compare objects, and then also that children are able to order 3 objects by size. So you can work on this at home by talking about bigger, heavier, taller, smaller, just while you're talking throughout the day. Oh, who's taller? Mommy, or, and then your child's name. Also, you could do it while you're at the park and there's sticks. You can go and pick up 2 sticks. Which stick is bigger? Also, they're going to work on phrases like, I'm big like my daddy. Also, ordering 3 objects by size. You can use nesting cups, or you can sort 3 bears by size. You can also use any objects if you have like a big giraffe and a little giraffe. If you have a lot of animals at home, you can order those by size as well. We work on big and small, and then we throw in medium. So I will send home some worksheets on that as well. Here are some examples. So these are nesting cups. Let's see, this one is just sorting big and small with Velcro. So these are similar to the worksheets that I send home when you're sorting the big and the small objects. This one's working on shorter and longer. Or again, if you want to do it in a more naturalistic setting, you could sort like big cars and small cars, or big animals and small animals. Geometry, preschool geometry. So the skills for this section are children begin to identify and use common shapes in the environment. So for example, if you're going on a walk, they might say, oh, look, the wheels on the car is a circle. Also, if they're able to sort shapes. Another one is using individual shapes to represent elements of a picture. So for example, they might draw a square for a house and a circle for a sun if they're coloring. And then beginning to learn positions of objects in space. So pick up the cup, the ball is inside. So this is working on the preposition aspect. So, you could use anything at home. Like you can have a chair and then say, okay, go put your car on the chair, or go put your car under the chair. Or you can use a stuffed animal. Go put the monkey in the bed. Go take the monkey out of the bed. That's a good way to work on positional phrases. So here are some examples. These are just little preposition cards. I recommend using tangible objects, like I mentioned, having them put the card under the table or on the table. This is just using different shapes of felt to create a picture, so that could be fun. Also a good sensory activity for the kiddos. And then these little shapes, putting the shapes together, climbing. And mathematical reasoning. So in this section, we work on beginning to use mathematical strategies to solve problems in the environment. So for example, a tower might fall over, and then they know that they need to rearrange the blocks to keep the tower straight. So those are math concepts we want them to know. You give 2 flowers to a friend and keep 2 so they have the same. These are all mathematical reasoning concepts. So it's always good to work on, stacking blocks at home, or stacking stuffed animals, anything like that. So here are some examples of blocks, and then here's some examples of sensory activities. So this is a sensory bin. This just is some beans and some dried beans and some dried rice, and then an ice cube tray. And so scooping and pouring, so filling up and dumping, that's a mathematical reasoning example. And then you can also use things around the house to work on balancing. Again, these are more natural to the child, so it's not like they're actually having to complete an activity, which a lot of the children like. So overall, it's important to note if a child is able to demonstrate these skills in one setting, we want them to generalize it to the other settings. So if they count at home, we want to make sure they can count at school. If they're displaying different skills at home and school, we want them to generalize that across settings. It's very common that the child might do something at school that they don't do at home and vice versa. So that's why it's important to communicate about these skills. And then all skills can be adapted for the needs of the child. So for example, instead of counting numbers out loud, they might point or use an AAC device. They might use a 10 frame. So there's all these adaptations that can be done to meet these foundations. So if you have any questions about how to adapt, then let me know and I can let you know. And these are foundational skills, meaning that they're important for all students to learn. I have some students who the parents say, oh, they're very past that. They can do subtraction. That's awesome, but subtraction isn't developmentally appropriate for preschool. So we want to make sure that they know all these foundational skills in order to be able to be successful in the classroom. All right, so that is my presentation. Let me know if you have any questions.